3 out of 52. Hi, my name is Kenzie, and this past week I watched one new movie, read one new book, and I listened to a new album, as I hope to do for every week of the year. Let's discuss that, shall we? The movie I watched this week was The Princess Bride. I was recommended to watch this movie by a few people. The conversation always started, oh, you've seen Princess Bride, right? And then I would say no. To which they instantly would go, oh, you should watch that. Because I think to a lot of people, this movie is like a classic and most people have seen it, but not me. So that's good on me. I think maybe one time, a long time ago, I tried to watch it and it was really late at night and I was watching it on my phone and I think I fell asleep because I knew like the very beginning, but I didn't. I didn't have much memory, but it was good to me now. That's my truth. Princess Bride was really fun. It was entertaining. I liked how all of the characters were a little stupid, a little sassy, a little silly. I think it makes it all the more entertaining. The lines can be written really seriously, but then be delivered in a way where like, I don't know if anybody knows what they're talking about, what they're saying, and that's enjoyable to me because I think I speak like that sometimes. I also think a good like feature of this movie was the like score to it, because like a lot of time the music would be going and you're like, this fits so perfectly, or it'd be like something stupid where it's like dun, 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 just as like they're moving with it, and I think that accompanies it really well and it's a nice feature to it. One of my first exposures to The Princess Bride was actually a TikTok edit, shout out, with Fezzik and Inigo Montoya, and it was like the do I want to know, like the crawling back to Hosier, and I think that really affected how I watched this movie, because the entire time I was like, oh, they have a deep compassion for one another, possibly, maybe, because Hosier told me. He didn't tell me, but he kind of told me, you know? Anyways, I like this movie. I think it was really fun. It was really lighthearted, and I don't know. It had like some moments where I felt a more deeper like pull towards it, like where I was like, oh, somebody was cooking here. But I don't know. It was just lighthearted and left me like feeling kind of like joyous, I think, in a way, because it never was like, oh, I'm gonna drag you down, because it is so silly inherently. And because of that, I think I'd probably rate this an 8 out of 10, because it doesn't have anything dragging it down, but it also doesn't have anything that's like, this was life-changing to me. I kind of wish it was, but it wasn't. But yeah. Yeah, 8 out of 10 is good. I would recommend it. I think it's fun. I think most people have seen it, so my recommendation probably means nothing. Anyways, next. The book I read this past week was The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Chbosky. I have loved the movie The Perks of Being a Wallflower for so long. The movie came out in 2012. I didn't watch it then. I was giving child, but since I first saw it, I've loved that movie. It has always been very important to me, which is why I'm shocked that it's taken me so long to read this book. But I finally did, and I could not be more glad. The Perks of Being a Wallflower is a young adult coming of age story where we follow like 15-year-old Charlie throughout like his freshman year of high school. It's very turbulent. Themes featured in this book include like the typical ones found in coming of age, like there's just like the finding yourself and like that kind of stuff, but then it also has like more darker themes such as like assault, drug use, sexuality, and like other just mental health issues. What I appreciate about this book is it is written in a way where like these darker, more taboo topics are covered in a way that is still kind of palatable. I think it's very palatable, but it also is still very touching and very moving. I think this is done because the main character, Charlie, is very lovable. You are on his side, and that is done intentionally because the way it's written, it's like these letters, like written by Charlie. So it's like you are getting his viewpoint, his everything, his understanding, his like movement through the world and only that, and that makes for an all more intimate read and understanding for the readers. And I think it's very well done, because I think like a lot of other like just first person books, like you get that, you're on their side, but like I love, I don't know, I think this is just done in a way where it's like you will be there with the main character, and I like that, because a lot of times I feel like currently like books will get read and you're like, I don't even know if I'm supporting them, but you do in this case, and it is very well done to me. I would probably rate this book a 9 out of 10. I think that's a high rating from me. But I just thoroughly loved it. I think the messages it goes to share are beautiful, and I think it does it in a way that is even more beautiful and feels so real and tangible, and like you can feel it. And I think that's lovely. I like it a lot. So I would definitely recommend it. If you've ever seen the movie, read the book. You know, you get a lot more insight, and like the characters feel more like their age and stuff. Like you get an understanding of like the weight of the situations that are happening, you know, because you only have like this understanding from this 15-year-old, not just like what you're seeing in this movie. I think if you've ever seen the movie, read the book. If you've ever thought about reading the book, read the book. It's great. Next. The album I listened to this past week was Old World Underground, Where Are You Now by Metric. Yay! Metric is like a new wave, like indie rock type of band, and this album was their debut album. Only like they came out in 2003. All that existed from them before that was an EP, so this is kind of exciting development of their sound. They're most commonly known for the song Black Sheep, which features in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, where it was sung by Brie Larson. That is all I knew of them prior to listening to this album. Shout out. Old World Underground, Where Are You Now is a 10-track album that runs about 37 minutes. And all of those minutes are enjoyable. I think they have a very consistent sound throughout that isn't like, it isn't the most typical for like indie rock as of today, but I think it's very like, I think that is what allows them to dip into like the genre of like new wave or like a punk resurgence mixed in with that indie rock, because it has a unique sound which I find very enjoyable. I think it wakens the ears, if you will. Who knows? My top 3 tracks off of this album were Combat Baby, Wet Blanket, and Sexy. Those ones like stood out to me the most in early listens and still did now. Combat Baby stood out to me the most. That was also the single they released from this, the first single they released from this album, so they knew they were cooking with that one. Proud of them. But I like those ones the most. I think they have the most drive emotionally, and that is something that appeals to me. I also think they're just really, the energy is there. I appreciate that. I would definitely recommend this album. I think it was very fun. It had a lot of musical variety, which is something that I think you find a lot in this genre, which is why I am called to it so often, I think. But yeah, I think it was very fun. I'd probably rate it an 8 out of 10. Yeah. I think that's a pretty solid rating for it. There were like a few times where I was like, ooh, I kind of wish there was more from like specific tracks, like more drive, more energy, like Where's Your Rage? But like, I don't know, more intention behind some of the lyrics, but I still think it stayed like afloat throughout, you know? Like the album as a whole felt very connected and had like a good like development within itself. It was great, and I will definitely be adding multiple songs from this album to my playlists, which is why I just rated so lovingly. Alright, that was my media for the 3rd week of the year. That was actually a really, really good lineup. I don't think I realized that until I like vocalized everything, but like I had a high rating for everything and I loved them all, actually, like very much. So that's very exciting for me. My favorite from this past week was definitely Persevering Wallflower. I think it was yummy to me. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you have recommendations, leave them in the comments. I will get to them. Yes, soon, hopefully. Anyways, got it. Big love, Godspeed. See you all next week. Self. I'm gagged.